Yes. So I'm here with John, the master creator and the inspiring human, and we came together to record something around one word, and the word is money. And I needed to make this movement because there is a lot of, I guess, loadedness and movement when we say the word money. I know for me, it is for me, and this is an ongoing journey and a learning journey that I really want to experience in my lifetime. And I really felt the calling to invite John into the virtual space of my Zoom and just press play, and we're just gonna play ping pong. I'm really bad with balls, by the way. So, so John, please, edit, what would you like? How would you like to enter the virtual space between us now?
Yeah, well, I'm excited for this conversation. I think when it comes to that word money, the thing to look at is what's the first thing that comes up for us when we hear the word money. It might be some ideas we have about it. It might even be some images we have about money. You might picture a particular car that you think of, or you might see people without money. There's a whole bunch of automatic um, things that come up for us internally, and then that determine our relationship with money, and the relationship we have with it then determines how we use it, what we do with it, what we think about it, whether it's something that helps us or whether it's something that holds us back in life. And all of that is constructed from um, the past, from our experiences of how it's been. And for me, as a coach and moving into coaching, and also before doing coaching, playing poker, um, I've had lots of different experiences with money, and my views of money have like changed over time. Um, based on those experiences. So there's what I'd learned about money, and then there's also the experiences I had that then started to change my perception of money and then my relationship of with it as well.
I love that you were saying images and how we translate the images into reality. So how the images and the visualization that we see inside of us. And with me, sometimes I can share, like, it's more than an image, it's energy. Like, there are moments that I feel that like entering the coaching realm after being in the performing arts world for 22 years was probably the biggest healing journey that I've ever been, especially around the issues of money, because the field of dance, of performing arts, especially the theater world, what I've experienced is it's a place where subsidiaries, like there is governing around what is possible and what is not possible. So then what I'm discovering now for myself is what energy do I want to experience and to allow to move through me when it comes to money. So how would you what would you suggest for people that are in a way challenged, first of all, with even identifying what is it that is inside of them in relation to money?
Yeah, I think the first place to start is to look at um, what first comes up for you when it comes to money, like really getting clear on it, writing it down, all of the images, thoughts, feelings that you have when you think about money. And you can also take that with different sums of money. There's a game I learned this from Michael Neal. It's around money, and you look at what's a small amount of money, what's a medium amount of money, and what's a large amount of money, because we believe, well, £10,000, that's a large amount of money, and we say it like it's a fact. But if you go and ask 1,000 people that, everybody will have a different answer. And I've asked groups of this in group coaching, and it's really funny to see some people say a large amount of money is £1,000, someone will say 10,000, and someone will say 100,000. They're so far off each other. So it's our perception of like what different amounts of money are, and then that determines what we spend. which is really interesting because we all have certain bounds on that. We might feel really guilty about buying a coffee because you could have one at home, but then we feel fine about spending money on going on a holiday because that's something that people do is to go on holidays. So we have all of these ideas about it based on um, who we think we are and what we've learned. So the first place is to look at like what comes up for you when you think about the word money, and then start to think about what impact does that have on your relationship with it. Does it keep money at a distance? Does it keep it as something that is not what you want or something that you think is bad or wrong? Many of us get the messages that people that have money are bad, or you have to con people in order to get money. And especially if you're running a business or you have a profession where you charge for your services, you can feel like, well, I could do this for free, or feel bad about charging people money for the service. But ultimately, it's an exchange of value. That when you're providing value in what you do, people are going to pay for that value. So whether that's buying a coffee and you're paying for the value of a coffee. And here's an interesting one. When I was thinking about this the other day, so I want to bring it into the conversation now. It's like you think about you go and buy a coffee from a coffee shop and it costs um I don't know, £3.20. And you could think that's expensive or you could think that's cheap. But when you look at what goes into getting that coffee into your hand, right? You've got the beans which have come from maybe Colombia or something, right? You've got the staff that are there that are being paid by the hour. Then you've got the delivery people that have to deliver the coffee over from Colombia all the way over. You've got the people in Colombia that are working hard to get the coffee to where it needs to be. You've got the hire of the business that they hiring the space, their rental there. You've got all of the other stuff that goes into it, and then we pay £3 for the coffee, and we might say that's expensive. If you weighed all of that up and you said it probably cost like 100 grand to get the coffee in front of you, you're like, that's an absolute bargain. So the way that we look at it and play around with money can change what it means to us. And when it changes our relationship with it, changes how we feel about it, how we value it as well. And that's another to jumping around, but like we value something on what we're paying for it. If you got a coffee for free, you might not value it. If you paid £100 for a coffee, you might sit there and sip it and drink it and take in every last drop because it's changing how much you've invested into it as well. So it really goes to show like money can have these ideas about value, about investment, and about worth. And when we're not really aligned with money, it can be some of the ideas we have about our own value and our own worth.
Whoa, there is so much that you gifted here in the space. And one of the things that I know for me, I'm witnessing myself as I'm unfolding my personal relationship with money. And what I'm seeing is that there is in fluctuations of who I'm being every day. Therefore, there is in fluctuations and changes in how when I relate to the word money or when I work with the energy of money, how am I showing up when working with it, whether purchasing, committing, whether allocating funds, whether sharing about my services, like the way that, and I love the fact that we attach so much value into it that it's almost like emptying the value of ourselves into something that is actually a form of agreement, which is really interesting. And the other thing, I have a question. What would you suggest to individuals that are on the journey of waking up to their potentiality and removing the limitations from within themselves? And there is the fluctuating days, there is the fluctuating periods. So some days you'd feel like, 10,000 euros, yeah, it's amazing. And some days you'll be like, whoa, 10,000 euros. And that's okay, okay, or I can't buy this coffee. So there is like discrepancies with how we are showing up, and I see it quite a lot. And I can also say about myself, I'm witnessing myself on this journey.
Yeah, I think it's just to realize that our ideas around money are just that. They're ideas. They're not concrete, they're not set. If we look at that example of like small, middle, or medium and large amounts of money, that they're made up. So we get to decide what those are. So if we want to change our relationship with it, it's number one, not getting too lost when we have those moments of panic around it. You know, you might lose 10,000 or something really comes along and you get a tax bill or something, and there's that initial panic. It's just try not to get lost in the panic and as if it's really, really real, because our feelings are coming from our thinking. So if we're thinking, you know, that's the end of the world, I no way I'm going to get that money back, we start to live into that and buy into that, and then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if we can just pause there and look at, right, that's what I'm thinking about it right now, but there's different ways I can approach it, there's different ways I can think we not get lost in the panic and not get lost in our past based and automatic reactions around money, and then start to create new ways that we want to deal with and handle not only situations but money as well. So when we look at like what's the first thing that comes up for me when I think of money, and we analyze that, we write that down, and then we think of how would I like my relationship with money to be? Do I want to feel good about having money? Do I want to feel like money is something that can come into my world easily? Do I want to feel like it's something that there's an abundance of it, and that when I'm providing a service to somebody, I'm not forcing them to give me money or taking money from them, but I'm actually providing value that they are going to be happy to pay for it, because people do like to pay for services. You know, often when I do coaching sessions with people and I don't charge them for it, they're like, "How can I pay you? I really feel like I need to pay." Some people, they send me gift cards and things because they feel like they want to, you know, offer back for that value. But it's an exchange of value. You're offering somebody something, and then they're going to pay for it. So it's really seeing the value in what we do, but also the value in who we are, and then aligning that with money so that we feel worthy around having money, changing any ideas that we've had in the past around that, and allowing ourselves to feel good about it. Because if we don't feel good about something, we're going to try and get rid of it. It's not going to work the same way. You know, if we don't feel good about going to the gym, we associate, oh, it's going to be painful and I don't want to go and it's horrible and all this stuff. We're not going to want to go. But if we associate the feelings of like going to the gym means I'm going to be healthy and happy and have energy and feel good, then we can start to build a better and more intimate relationship with it. And then we can do the same thing with money as well. And it's an ongoing journey. So for me with coaching, initially like charging for sessions, I felt really uncomfortable about it, talking about money in itself, saying, look, it's going to cost you this much to work with me. You know, in the beginning, it cost £1,200 for a course of coaching with me. I felt really uncomfortable around it, but it's just because it was something that I'd never done before. In having those conversations, and I didn't know what my relationship with money was like. And then over time, the more that I got used to talking about money, having those conversations with people, seeing how uncomfortable other people can be around it, I then became more comfortable with it. And I remember going to it was a like a 1 day event, I think, with some coaches were running, and they were talking about having conversations around money. And at the end, they did a pitch for their group, and they said, "Oh, it's going to cost this much to work with us." And I was really surprised to see how matter of fact they were talking about it. They were talking about it the same way you just say, like, "How was your weekend?" And for me, it was like, "Oh no, that would be really awkward." But it isn't that it is awkward. It's just that I thought it needed to be awkward. You know, and somebody says, "Well, how much do you earn?" People would never ask that. But you could ask it if you wanted to, and you could feel really comfortable about it. And you notice certain people in different industries do feel comfortable asking that just because it's something that they've done a lot, or maybe they do it in sales or whatever that looks like. So then eventually a year or so, maybe 2 years down the line, I was in that same place of this is how much it costs to work with me, and this is what it looks like. And it's very normal. And now it's normal. But if any point I put my prices up, again, it doesn't feel normal for a little bit. And then you settle into it. So a lot of it's like it's the unknown, and it's making the unknown familiar, and it's building that relationship with money in a way that you want it to work for you, rather than just what are the ideas that you currently have around money.
wow, you're like, wow, this is like kaboom. And I love what you're sharing because, first of all, I just came back from Israel, and I was sitting there with my uncle, and my uncle, he's a retired surgeon, and he had clinics, and he owns properties, and he immediately was like, "Oh, so you have a business? How much money do you make?" And
Yeah.
I said, "Sure, no problem." And I said, I made in my first year of business, I've made 80,000 euros. And he was like, how much debts are you in? And I was like, what makes you think that I'm in debts? And and then he's like, I don't know, I'm just asking. So I was like, no, no debts. He's like, good to know. And then he's like, am I making you feel uncomfortable? I'm like, no, go on. Because I said to him, like, there's so much taboo around money and sex also.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I saw my mom and my aunt like sitting there, and I felt like I was sitting there and I'm realizing, oh fuck, I'm like, in a way, I'm sitting in the midst of my trigger. Why is that? Because me growing up, the image that I had about on money is control, and it's controlled by men. Men are the ones that are having the money, and somehow I am under, need to be in the mercy of those who have it, or whatever, or I can never earn as much as like, there was some really loaded issues. And it was so interesting for me to sit there and to share with him, I love you because from your way, you're asking me how I'm doing. Thank you for your kindness. And I wanted to record the message to him because, in a way, it was my way of unpacking. And I said, my commitment on this journey is to transform the narrative that I have around money, because I want to create it for myself. I want to feel empowered and free, to feel in flow, to have it, and not to feel like this is an element of governance or something that is controlling. So I invited him into my discomfort. And that was like such an incredible feeling, to literally come to my family and really share how things have been for me. And also, what I'm also noticing is that when it comes to meeting potential clients and creating relationships and opening relationships on the journey, the what helped me a lot is somatic, and but like the somatics of being in the flow of enrollment. So witnessing whether, and you're a poker player, like you're a coach of poker players, so in a sense, like witnessing myself, and we talked a bit about it before, like witnessing, how am I breathing, how am I sitting, do I change my voice around things, like, do I give additional value? Where can I slow down, actually, rather than speeding up, so that I can be conscious in areas that I'm learning to become comfortable with? And usually the places that I'm actually leaning back. So it's not about, and that's gonna, this is the level of investment. It's like, I love the time that we share together, and it means a lot for me to have your trust. And for us to move forward, these are the possibilities for creation. Bam, 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 bam. And then there is the silence, and then you're like, but then you're like, it's really interesting to witness myself on these moments. And I'm sure that I'm not the only one that experiencing these things, and to lean back and to breathe and allow the service to speak for me, rather than to feel like, come and buy this coffee. Do you want to buy this coffee?
Yeah, I think that another part of this that I've learned that's really, really important is being unattached. And this is one of the things with money as well that really ramps up our fear around it, is when we are attached to money. So if in the client enrollment, if you're looking, if someone's looking to come on board as a client, if we're attached to signing them as a client, it ramps up so much pressure, and that we then become needy as a coach, and then it puts pressure on them when there's non-attachment. And this was something I would have to practice more in the early days, because when I was starting out as a coach, I really wanted to create my business, and it meant, having people come into the business. But I practiced being unattached, which is, you know, if they want to come on board, great. If they don't, great. There's plenty more people out there. And if they're ready now, it's going to be right for them. And if they're not ready and it's not right, I'm not going to try and convince them into something that they don't need, or now isn't now, I mean, I don't want to say now isn't the right time, because it never feels like the right time. But for some people, if you're unattached, you have that conversation. And this has happened many times to me, where I'll speak with somebody and we talk about coaching. They say now's not the right time. And then 6 months later, they reach out and they say, do you know what? I'm ready. Can we talk? And I say, sure, let's jump on a call. So it's around building relationships, and without attachment. When you don't have that attachment to it, you're more free, they're more free, there's no pressure on anybody. And if they want it, then they're going to want to come in, and they're going to be far more committed. It's a lot more fun. And what comes with that is really living into an abundance mindset, because the opposite of attachment is, oh, sorry, the opposite of unattachment is attachment. And we're attached to things because we think we need them. And money is one of these things, right? So if we look at what money is, ultimately, in the spiritual world, everyone says money is energy. But for me, it's more like it's a tool that we use to exchange value. But money comes and goes like everything. And when we're attached to something, we're scared. That's in our relationships with people. It's with money. It's with lots of different things in our lives. It's with clothes. You get attached to an item of clothing. You're like, oh my God, I can't. This is my favorite jumper. I can't get rid of it. When we practice the art of detachment, we're like, I love that jumper, but I can get rid of it. I can give it to somebody else who might need it more. What happens is when something goes out, it creates a space for other things to go in. And so if we've got that as a way of being in conversations with people, what it does is when the pressure's off, people perform better. That means performing better as a coach or whatever industry you're in. If you're not attached to the outcome, you can play more and have more fun, gives you more room for creativity. But in the realm of money, it means that when that £10,000 has gone out, or when that money hasn't come in, you're not panicked that that's the end of the world. There's always plenty more money out there. Like the same way in dating, if you're dating, there's more people out there. And so that creates this exchange that money's going to go out and it's going to come in, because otherwise we're just holding on to what we've got, this pot of money. And if I save it and just earn a bit of investment on it, it doesn't work. And I learned this in poker, that if you want to get good at poker, you've got to get good at losing money. And famously, one of the players, Phil Ivey, is one of the best poker players in the world. He said, if you can't set light to $100 bill, you're never going to make it in this game of poker, because you need to have that detachment to money. And that was one of the things I had playing poker. That's why for me, it's not about the money. It's never about the money when I'm um, talking with clients, even when I'm investing in myself. It's more about the time that I'm putting in, what I'm going to get from it, what's going to come as a result, versus the actual money itself. Because I've seen that, been able to let go of that. Sometimes you're going to invest in things, it's not going to work out, but there's always a lesson, something you can get from
I believe you transformed the way I'm drinking a coffee right now.
it.
Actually, like this conversation is such an eye opener, and it's a gift. Like I just want to say how much it's a gift, because when we look at things and we start to think, I need to accumulate, I'm accumulating without even understanding, what are you saying yes to? What are you saying no to? When you buy a coffee, like you said, do you really appreciate where it's coming from? The where you even choose to have your coffee. Um, the a meal, investing in piece of clothing, investing in something that you know that's going to help you grow or make your heart sing. And and when you come to it with an open heart and present, then miracles are happening on an ongoing level, because you're simply there open to experience and receive. And sometimes it's also playing and flirting with edges of discomfort. And what I'm realizing from our conversation, and I love it, is the fact that at moments I feel the discomfort. This is the areas where I need to that I want to lean into, so that these are the reflections, the biofeedback that will show me, okay, you've done the work. You want to keep on growing. There you go. This is where you need to clean. This is where you need to unravel. This is where you need to surrender. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, and whenever that discomfort is there, then that's where, there's a growing edge. Because everything in my life right now is all the things that are working, all very comfortable. But then when it comes to looking at putting my fees up again now, it's super uncomfortable. There's a lot of resistance to it. And I have to look at that and look at what's true, what's not true, what do I want, what don't I want, and ultimately we get to choose what we want in life and then align ourselves with that, and everybody's different. But I think the money part, and this is something I'll throw in now, which is a really great question around it, is like, if money didn't matter, what would you do? And then that can lead you into a place of not being attached, because you're operating from like not making the money important. One of the distinctions I make, and maybe as my journey unravels, I've learned more about this, because people often say you don't need money, etc. But I think it's far easier to be spiritual when you have money. I can tell you that, because you don't have those pressures. You're not thinking about where the rent's coming from next and everything. The most important thing really is to make sure that our primary needs are being met. Do we have like food? Do we have enough money? Well, especially whenever I'm working with poker players or anyone in business, I'll say, if you didn't earn any money for the next 6 months, would you be okay? And if they say no, then it's like you need that primary source of income, or you need to be able to create a more stable form of that happening in order to not be worried about it. Because then you need money at that point, right, to survive, in order to live. So getting your basic needs met, that's the most important part. Once that's there, everything else starts to become more additional, it becomes more optional, and that's when we can be less attached to it.
Mm,
um, and that's the thing, when it comes to relationships, nobody needs a relationship. We get told this, I need love and I need all these things. No. These, if we didn't have our needs met in childhood, then that's some of the paradigms we can create. But ultimately, you can give that to yourself, right? And when you really are loving yourself and you meet your own needs, that's when you can go out and help meet somebody else who can also help you meet your needs as well. But it's all additional. The same with money, is we want to have like a base set where we feel like secure in what we've got. Maybe we've got a stable income, um, and or we know that we can create that, because that's one of the other things when it comes to jobs. People stay in a job, yeah, but I need this job. But you could go and get another job if you needed to, if you really wanted to create it. So that's one of the things that again can take away that attachment, but just knowing that, and then you can start to play and get more free with it without the heaviness on it. And then if you put yourself into that position where things become optional, then you can the pressure is more psychological and mindset based rather than a reality. And when that's the case, that's where we can play around and have some fun.
wow. Wow. And so my question to you, for as a business owner and someone that is growing, for some of us we're in the beginning of our journey, for some of us we're further ahead, and of course we there is a lot. The more we want to grow, that maybe it's a thought that I have. For me, investing in my personal development and in my coaching is something that is so important for me, because I want to I'm in a devotion on a journey for myself. It means so much to me. And at the same time, what would you advise to create this foundation as you invest in your personal development and in basically your business, while growing the basic needs?
Yeah, I think the key word that you in the sentence there is the word investment. When we're investing in our own personal development, whether that's coaching on our mindset and our personal growth, or learning new skills that can help us, it's not like you're just chucking money away or throwing money out there. You're investing, and an investment is designed in order to like help you progress. So when I invest in my own coaching, the idea behind it is that I can improve and then I can help my clients improve. So that the more I grow, the more value I have to offer, the more value I can provide for my clients, the more I can help them, the more successful they become, the more successful I become. So so it's seeing that as an investment. You're investing in yourself rather than like that's why I'll often say when I'm having a conversation with someone, the investment for coaching with me is this. And rather than like here's the fee, which is like some of the default ways we talk about it, because again, it's our relationship with money. If we're talking it in terms of investment, we're looking at this is what I want to create with it, and this is what I want to get out of it. So I see that as a real kind of positive thing.
John, I am so grateful for having this jewel with you. This is something that I'm sure that so many people will benefit, and whoever is listening and watching and with us, where can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. You can drop me a direct message there, which is at the Perception Coach. Or you can also check on my website, theperceptioncoach.com. And I also have two podcasts that you can dive in and listen to. One is the Perception Coach podcast. You can find it on all the major platforms. And another one is the Smashing It podcast with me and my good friend Chris Finn.
Okay, so how about I'm gonna share this video and also your podcasts and also the details where people can find you. This is like this is like diamonds, like raining diamonds.
It's been super fun. It's gone super quick as well. Feels like 5 minutes have gone by, but a little bit longer.
Thank you so much. And I'm gonna stop the recording right now and I'm giving you like a virtual hug.
Received. Thanks, Karen.
And yeah, and for all of those that took the time, um, really write down for yourself what is it that you wanna take from this journey. And like John was saying, investment, my word is also how do you want to embody this investment in your time right now?
Yeah, last thing that I want to add, if I may,
Yeah.
is think of that investment as when you're valuing yourself. If you think of value, self-worth, self-value, you're investing in yourself, you're investing in your own value. And then that also then transpires into the value that you can offer out into the world. So that investment is self-value, self-worth. And the more that we value ourselves and see our own worth, the more we can offer that to others, and then we can help others realize that in their own lives in whatever way that might be.
Freaking love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.